your hosts, Andrew Romanella.
I don't think I'm good enough in this spot based on my own personal mental health, so I can't continue. The first problem is with the owner of the Carolina Panthers, okay? You're an idiot. Seriously, you're an idiot. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12OZSports.com. Broadcast live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. I am with you for the next 30 minutes. We will be joined by our every Tuesday guest, Mr. Rocky Romanella, the resident hockey player, to talk about a devastating Game 5 loss for the New York Rangers, a huge Game 4 victory on the road for the Dallas Stars, some suspensions in the National Hockey League, and so much more as we get down to the final 3 to 4 games in each series of round 2 of the National League Hockey playoffs. Before we do any of it, we remind you, you got to get us on the social media, The Rome Show 1, Instagram and Twitter. If you want to go to Facebook, you can go to my personal Andrew Romanella and comment on all of the stuff, or you can go to Wide World Shop. Either way, we want to hear your opinions. Okay, so since Rocky's going to join us in 5 minutes, we're going to go straight. Nice. Finally, I didn't hit the chimes on that one. Let's start in Boston, okay, as the Boston Celtics defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers by a score of 109 to 102. Cleveland went on like a 15-4 run late in the fourth quarter here, but Boston was able to hold off. Jaylen Brown hit a huge three-pointer late in the game. Actually, it was kind of funny. Jaylen Brown hit the three-pointer, and then Jason Tatum was so fired up, what he called was left hooked him, and he really did. He punched him in the chest. Nonetheless, the two stars for the Boston Celtics, Tatum, he went 11 for 25 from the field, 33 points and 11 rebounds. Jaylen Brown, 27 points and 8 rebounds, and the Boston Celtics head home for Game 5 with a 3-1 series lead. The Boston Celtics, to me, are like that kid that plays with their food. You know when people are like, don't play with your food, don't play with your food, right? That's what the Celtics are. Because I think if Boston played the game that they should be playing mentally, physically, and emotionally every single night, based on the two teams they've played so far, the Miami Heat and the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't think they would have lost a game based on their talent and how good they are. But needless to say, they've lost a game in each series, and I just think that I said it last week too, it's cause for concern with the Celtics when they play a better team. The cause for concern for the Cleveland Cavaliers is that Donovan Mitchell did not play in this game. And think about that. Donovan Mitchell did not play in this game with a strained calf, and yet there was a serious chance for the Cavs to win this game thanks to Darius Garland, who had 30 on 12 of 27 from the field. So that game, two days away from game number 5 there in Boston. We'll see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and guess the Celtics close up that series. We continue. What a comeback for the Oklahoma City Thunder last night, led by their MVP and possibly could have been the league's MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had 34 points and 8 rebounds, 8 assists, but the more important stat for me from SGA was that in the final 30 points scored by the Oklahoma City Thunder, which included outscoring the Mavs by 8 points in the fourth quarter and by 7 points in the third quarter, so 15 points overall in the second half to win this game. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he assisted or scored on 20 of the final 30 points for the Oklahoma City Thunder. On top of that, he collected 10 points and 4 assists in the fourth quarter. The problem for the Mavericks is their two best players and the free throw line. The Mavs were 12 for 23 at the free throw line throughout this game. That's not going to get it done, including a really bad missed free throw with 10 seconds left by Luka Doncic to have a chance to tie the game. And then on top of that, Luka and Kyrie not scoring the basketball to what needs to happen for this Dallas Mavericks team if they want to contend in this series. Last night, Doncic had 18 points. He only made 6 field goals. He actually turned the ball over 7 times comparative to his 6 field goals. So not a good night for Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving, who for the second time in this series had only 9 points and made 4 field goals. The really illuminating stat is in the postseason, Luka and Kyrie are averaging 37 points per game combined. That is just slightly under their 59.5 point average from the regular season. Yeah, you heard that correctly. In the postseason, Luka and Kyrie, 22.5 points less than their regular season scoring average. That series is tied 2-2, and I think that is the most exciting series we are watching in basketball alongside the Knicks and the Pacers. We move to the National Hockey League to get you set up for a one Rocky Romanella to call us shortly. I mentioned both games earlier. Let's give you the deets. The Hurricanes, 4 unanswered goals in the third period. 4 unanswered goals in the third period to win 4-1 on Madison Square Garden ice. And now Carolina goes home having won the last 2. Okay, the last one at MSG. And now they go home to arguably, I would say, probably one of the hardest barns to play at in the National Hockey League. Barn, another word for rink. You know, get up on your hockey terminology. So Carolina has seriously pushed the needle on this series. And now, if you're a Rangers fan that was feeling all so good about that 3-0 series lead, just like that, you got the Carolina Hurricanes saying, hold on just a second. We also won 52 games this year, and we were really freaking good, and they've shown that. And Carolina has shown that. And here's the other thing. And I was looking up these stats last night. Carolina was like 14 games over 500 on the road or something like that. 12 or 14, something in that number. Like, that's impressive. And oftentimes, you know, we talk a lot about teams having home ice, home court, home field, whatever. Well, when you're playing this Carolina team, they have like the best of both worlds. So if there is a team, my brother doesn't want to hear me say this. My dad probably doesn't want to hear me say this either. But if there is a team that is probably equipped to win 4 straight games after being down 3-0 in a series, I mean, my belief would have to be that team is the Carolina Hurricanes, because they are so good on the road. And as I mentioned earlier, Carolina has arguably has, I don't know, the best home team or home ice advantage in the National Hockey League. So either way, right? Either way, this is now a very, very interesting series. Last night, Drury had 2 assists. He was great. He was great. We had Kuznetsov with a goal, Martinuk with a goal, and Nekas with a goal. And then Jordan Staal scored his first goal of the postseason. So not only did Carolina score 4 unanswered in the third period, but on top of that, Jordan Staal scored his first goal of the postseason, which not necessarily a goal scorer guy has the ability to, especially on this Carolina team. But when that starts to happen, that means things are falling in the right direction for the Carolina Hurricanes. So now it's 3-2 in that series. And here's the thing, if you're the Rangers, like, not that I think that there is an adjustment you need to make, because the problem is for the Rangers, you have held one of the best power plays down for nearly the entire series. Like, coming into this game, outside of the Game 4 third period power play goal that gave Carolina the victory in Game 4 at home, right? The New York Rangers were 17 for 17 on the penalty kill leading into that power play. okay? And this Carolina team came into the postseason knowing that their power play was a strong suit for them. So what has now happened is one of the main advantages of the Rangers that was probably, I mean, think about 17 in 4 games. That's a lot of kill. So if you're the Rangers, you're like, dude, this is our strong suit. If you're Carolina, you finally break through in that power play goal in the 4th game, okay? Then you go scoreless in the first 2 periods of game 5 and then score 4 in the 3rd against arguably one of the best goalies in the postseason remaining. You've really gained the momentum. And what do the Rangers do now, right? What's the regroup for the Rangers? Because I don't think it's taken the goaltender out, right? And I don't know how much line shifting you can do, right? So at the end of the day, it's really just grit time for the Rangers now. Because you're going back to Carolina. You have to figure out how to bounce back here, because the last thing you want / at all can happen is if you go to a game 7. Because I think if you go to a game 7 in this series, I feel like no matter what, it's gonna go to the Carolina Hurricanes. If it doesn't go to the Carolina Hurricanes, then I would be super surprised, because I just feel like, and I think we've seen it across the course of time, right? With any sports series that has a team coming back from anything, right? Think about the Indiana Pacers right now versus the New York Knicks, okay? You got the Pacers, who were down 2-0, going home. All right. And I've said this multiple times, and it's probably true. It is a cliche, but my high school English teacher used to say cliches are cliches for a reason. And that's because they are true. Okay. And so you got Indiana going home, and they feel confident at home. And then all of a sudden, bam, bam, they rattle off 2 victories. And now everyone, right? Everyone's like, oh, okay, how about we think now, I don't know what's going to happen with the Knicks, blah, 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 whatever. And you're like, all right, is that just because Indiana won the last 2? But they won the last 2 at home. And going into Indiana, we were all saying that, oh, well, the series hasn't started till you lost 1 at home. Well, neither team has lost 1 at home. So from my vantage point, when you look at that series, you're like, dude, if you think about it, all the Knicks need to do is hold serve on their home floor. And at the end of the day, it still might go 7, but you win the series. Whereas when you flip to the Rangers and the Hurricanes, the scary part about this series is the Hurricanes have now beat you at home and on the road. And because of the way the series works and the Rangers having home ice advantage, you're like, all right, well, we're still up and we still have game 7 at our barn. Yeah, but the last thing you want to do is go into that game 7 having lost 3 straight. It's different going into a game 7 where it's like this team wins 2, that team wins 2, each team wins 1 and 1, and then we go to game 7. And I feel that same way about game 5 with the Knicks tonight. It's like, are we confident in the Knicks? I know they're home, but usually we give momentum on the side of the team that's won the multiples. Without further ado, let's bring Rocky Romanella in because I got to get his opinion on this Rangers thing. And so you know what time it is? It's time for Hockey with Rocky. Now, inside the glass, Hockey with Rocky.
Good morning, everyone. We're inside the glass. I'm Rocky. What's up?
What's going on, man? How we doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. We're unlike all of the haters and the people freaking out right now. We're feeling great right now.
I like that. So why don't you start there and tell us why you're feeling great and you're not feeling like the haters?
Well, if you were a listener last week, you would have heard me talk about how there is not a Stanley Cup champion who doesn't face adversity at some point or multiple points throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. It just has to happen. And so this is a little bit of adversity for the Rangers. No big deal, by the way. The adversity that they're facing still has them in the lead, in control of the series. Not to mention, they are also the same team that had over 34 comeback victories during the regular season on their way to the President's Trophy. So they are a resilient group of people. That's why I'm so confident.
So what do the Rangers have to do, Rocky, to close out this series? Because not too long ago, I mean, actually, let's put it this way, man. We were 63 minutes away. If we go back 63 minutes on this series, the Rangers are tied 3-3 with 3 minutes left in Carolina, and they're about to sweep the series. So how now, in 63 minutes of hockey, has it gone from Rangers up 3-0 to Carolina down 3-2?
I love how much it changes because, by the way, up until the start of the third period last night, you would argue that